Thank you for tuning in to our last office hours of the year. We're going to be doing a review of our hometown in 2022, a look back at the whole year. We have a selection of our blog posts. This isn't even everything that we've put out this year. These are just the highlights. And as Jack summarized here, I mean, it's just been like a really big year for us, like a lot of cool things going on. The digital initiatives, first and foremost, VPA going strong. And then we are now working with KPA, Kansas, and Illinois Press. And as we'll talk about later, we're really focusing more on just the basic stuff that publishers need to run, their operations smoother, deliver a more seamless experience for their subscribers through integration with different print circulation tools. And a big focus early in the year was audio articles. So we'll talk about that. It's crazy to think, but it was just over a year ago that we introduced audio article playlists. That was not even a year old. It seems like that's like the whole product in my mind now. But this is just always fun for me. And it kind of is a good way to set us up for the new year as we think about like what is the whole schedule going to look like for like webinars, and that actually brings me to this one, the digital marketing in 2022. I will say this is something I kind of thought was going to be bigger this year than it ended up being. I mean, we are doing a ton. I mean, Kevin Slimp every month, learning about how to do better marketing with your paper. But here, what we have is actually kind of like the schedule that I had laid out at this point in the year. SEO for newspapers in 2022. And I plan on doing that again with, can't remember his name right now, Michael, the SEO expert. We'll probably do this again in January. It's just a huge turnout. And I was excited at this point in the year because we were charging for these things. And I actually had some people pay for this that weren't our hometown customers, which was like, oh man, could this be a new business? But we really didn't end up doing these all and certainly didn't do them as paid. I think we did some versions of them, but I just kind of decided, I don't want to be in the events business. Let's just do this as a service to our customers, and we will charge non-customers, but it's not going to be something I'm going to try to like hire speakers for every month or anything. We do have our experts though, Michael, the SEO guy, and of course, Kevin. But yeah, the first one was SEO. So, that's just kind of an area that we're trying to expand more into beyond just doing websites, not just doing websites, that's enough, but like, just teaching people, how to make use of the marketing tools that are out there. And it's just oftentimes things that we're learning as we go, because it's always changing and we're learning to market our own business. Second story of the year, January 10th, was the release of the audio articles playlist. So this was a big deal. We went into this, I know that our designer, James, was very much like focused on a Spotify like design because, that's very much the leader, I think, in audio content in general, like besides just music, but they're all over playlists now and everything. And just the way it's set up really makes a lot of sense. So, we got on every site now that has audio articles, you get the audio article playlist just included. So let's see if I can jump in. So from the front page, if you click audio article, then you're going to go right into the player. And again, it's designed around the playlist. It's like totally focused on playlists, not just listening to one story at a time. We've got advertising opportunities in here with the graphics. We've got the pre-roll ads. Some of the things I can tell you that are coming out next year. We've already got it on the development schedule for Ryan to create dynamic pre-roll ads. It's a big thing that a lot of publishers have wanted, but we have to kind of rebuild the whole player to do it. So we haven't done that yet, but that's on our list. It's actually a request from Restoration News Media. So, it's an important thing to do to get them using it because they're one of our biggest customers, and we'll talk about them soon. Okay, first story of the year for VPA. I can't believe it. This was not even a year ago. Courier-Record launched. Bill Coleman down there in Virginia. He's got a weekly publisher in Blackstone, Virginia. And he was one of the publishers that was nice enough to join us for this big webinar that we had with VPA. We interviewed him and Lisa McCarthy of the Virginia Star. And I think this is one of the most successful papers in Virginia that we have through the VPA. They already had a website. The thing was, they weren't publishing everything. They were just publishing teasers, and it was linking to an e-edition. So we got him on. Is he on full service, Teri? Actually, I think he is, right? Or am I?
Yes,
is he just
he is.
He is.
Yep.
Okay, so even though he had the website and he was kind of populated it himself, he really benefited from the VPA program. So that was, I think, the second one that we launched. So really, this year has been the year of the digital initiative. It's been crazy how much that's taken off. This webinar was pretty cool. The Google Facebook antitrust lawsuit. I thought that was pretty cool getting into all this stuff. Now, in retrospect, I feel like, we can talk about these things, and certainly interviewing these publishers makes sense. But I also think that we can't really wait for the law to save us. But I mean, this is an interesting case. It's still in the works. They're trying to, basically claim that they're a monopoly on the whole industry. They control the buy and sell side, Google and Facebook. But I mean, think about it. Like, in less than a year, they changed their name to Meta, and they've lost billions of dollars because of that. I mean, they're kind of on their way down. So like, Facebook is almost irrelevant here. Maybe not. I mean, I don't mean to be like a commentator, but I think they're kind of on their way out. Google is definitely still on the rise. But my point is, I guess, we there are publishers that are pursuing this, and this law firm they're very legit guys and very smart. They really seem to have their argument together. But I mean, the technology is just changing so fast. It's going to change faster than any government or any law could possibly move. So we have to save ourselves. We can't wait for this to work out. But, it would be great if we could get some damages and a reset model. But as we saw, just recently, another act, the Journalism Preservation Act, or whatever it's called, was shut down, and like, we were talking about that for like a year, and it's just like done. So I guess that's what I kind of learned from that webinar and some of the response to it. Let's see, Kevin Slimp. So lots of Kevin Slimp webinars predicting the future of newspapers. This was kind of this is when we started publishing his column. So we're one of several organizations that publish Kevin's column. I think America's Newspapers, National Newspaper Association, they all do. So it's a really big privilege to have access to this, and he sends it to me literally every month, just personally. Here's my column. So it's just the relationship with Kevin continues to grow all the time. Oh, yes. Okay. So now this was when I started to pivot away from the like big tech. Oh, I'm going to talk about big tech from the newspaper perspective. Like, let's just talk about the essential stuff, just like the brass tacks, like where are the most people getting information? That's a very simple question that should be like on the forefront of our minds, rather than like, I think, following antitrust lawsuits. And it's clear in the data and our data and also like nationwide stuff that we've found through our research with Today in News Tech that mobile is the biggest audience. So this was pretty straightforward, just how to better serve that mobile audience. And we were focusing on our responsive websites and the native apps that are becoming more and more popular. So 86% of Americans get their news from a digital device, and mobile traffic is 61%. So,
Matt, if I could jump in here.
Yeah, sure.
As we recently had that interview for an ops person, that was kind of enlightening to me, because here's a college student,
right,
gets his news from mobile and social.
Facebook.
Yeah.
That,
it was just like, wow, it really does exist. It was like a light bulb moment. But
I know. Yeah, because we're so in it.
Right.
I definitely read news more than I would, I think, if I wasn't in this business, definitely more than I did before I joined the company. So I'm kind of biased.
Right. And here he was, never picked up a newspaper.
Right.
Kind of thing. It was like a new animal.
It's not uncommon. And on the interview, I didn't mean to say it like this, but I was like, oh, it's not uncommon. It's like a big problem that no one's doing this. He just told me he doesn't ever read the newspaper, but still, that was a great interview. I think that'll go very well. But anyway, we may be talking more about him in the new year. Yes. So mobile and social. Yeah, and I say Facebook's dying. I mean, it's like one of the biggest companies in the world. So it's going to take a long time for it to go away. So we're going to continue to use it in that way, just knowing that the majority of the audience is on either Facebook or mobile. Okay, then we started putting out these digital initiatives. I think we got some good. I feel like VPA is using this to market the program pretty well. I don't know, Tyler, if you've gotten any feedback on our materials that we've done for Rachel and VPA. I haven't really beyond in the beginning, but
it seems to be super effective from their end. Most of the time, publishers do come in knowing enough background that they can kind of jump right in. So that's been fantastic.
That's huge. Yeah, just to prime people on what you do, it's like such a big difference between going in there cold and trying to talk to them. I guess what I might take away from that for newspapers is if you could just get some basic video marketing together that explains the products that you have or explains the benefits of a subscription, that could just go a long way. But I think the better parallel is the advertising products, because you're going to sit down with an advertiser and try to sell them something, just like we are here. So if you can put together a basic video with iMovie, that's just screenshots of your website with the different ad positions, and you can have our hometown ad network in those positions, and then just say, we'll put yours in place of this Adidas ad or whatever. You will be the priority as the local advertiser.
One thing I'd like to see in the coming year to go along with this is how the digital initiative has affected the actual associations. If nothing but they're showing how they represent and they benefit newspapers. I'd really like to know about that.
Yeah, that's a good comment. That's something that Billy mentioned on the interview that I absolutely loved. He said, no matter what association or organization, you're a member of a country club, you're a member of a press association, you always are wondering, like, what am I getting out of it? And he said that this was the biggest benefit the VPA has ever provided in his eyes to him. So, but like you're talking about benefiting the association, right? Like that's an interesting look. And I will say this, it's the public notice stuff, a lot of it, right? We talk about that quite a bit this year. Just they know they need to get all their public notices online. So they're really leading the way by doing something like this, instead of just kind of waiting for stuff to happen to them, which kind of has been, the case for a lot of organizations through this whole, just the internet revolution. They just kind of waited out. But now the pressure's on, because there's a lot of laws being passed with public notices, and they're kind of going to lose their advantage if they don't get on that. So I think that's one thing. Demonstrating value to their members, like they're paying for these websites to get them off the ground. That's a clear advantage. Also, ad networks haven't really taken off, but like a statewide association ad network, where they might have salespeople. I'm not talking about Google ads or something. I'm talking about like an actual ad network for the state where they could just kind of bring together all their publishers and then sell all that inventory at once. That's just going to be easier to do the more papers you get online. If they don't have a website now, then there's nowhere to run those ads. So those are a couple of areas that I would say for that. But I think we got to ask the associations. I mean, these are just what I'm seeing on the outside. So that's a good point, Teri. I definitely will, in some follow-up interviews, focus on that. Amelia Bulletin out of VPA. Okay, and then this was kind of in June. It wasn't until June that we launched the IPA, Illinois Press Digital Initiative. So we had an interview with Jeff Rogers to kind of announce that. He's the director of Illinois Press Foundation. And what I've learned this year is that there's the press associations. All the states do this for some reason. Press association, and then there's like a nonprofit foundation that, like, I don't know why they have to be separate, but to get the money into the foundation, it needs to be nonprofit, and then they just give the money to the association. So really, we were always talking about Illinois Press Foundation when it came to the initiative. But yeah, with Illinois Press, they are actually, we did a little inventory of this, right, Tyler? And I think IPA was the biggest growth, the single biggest, most customers of all the initiatives this year. Am I remembering that right?
They
were up there.
If not the biggest, they're at least close to tied with VPA.
Yeah, it would definitely be VPA or the IPA. And that's just like, it surprised me because they just kind of came so easily. Like you were just signing them up, and I didn't even meet with most of them. So that's been really nice to have that going. And so, yeah, with all these associations, like we're giving them a huge discount. We're basically treating the press association as a group, so they get the benefits of those discounts.
And plus, just to be clear, we offer a discount through our hometown and the association, correct?
That's right. So they get it they get a discount on our fees, and then they get the grant money from the association. Yep, that's right. Crewe-Burkeville Journal, VPA, that was another one that Tyler and Vera basically just handled the whole process of setting them up. Google Analytics 4, Chris, you wrote this article, and let's see, sunsetting. So this is kind of like this year, actually, in 2023, that we're going to be seeing this happen. Is that right? Or
yeah, the reason this came up at the time that it did was basically a lot of the recommendations coming from industry insiders was that you want to go ahead and get yourself migrated a good year out from the actual sunsetting dates. You can have all that data ready to go a full year, so you can actually see how well Analytics 4 is doing, instead of just all of a sudden you got to switch over and you have a kind of a big lag in your analytics management. So yeah, I just put this together real quick so that if someone didn't know how to do certain parts of it, looks like we got some broken images. I'll apologize for that.
No problem.
But basically how to set it up from scratch. But also, if they already know how to do that, the only thing they needed to give us as the CMS was some of the new tag codes. So I just wanted to give people a little insight into what was involved from the beginning. But if they already knew that, they just skip to the end, copy the code, send it to us in an email, and then they're done. And their website will be ready to go.
And thanks to Christopher, we are staying ahead of things for our publishers.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Totally. Yeah, this is the type of stuff that we should be focusing on with Google and Facebook, just like this, the basics of where to get the code for, the new analytics. I think we might want to start this is good that we're talking about this. We should probably start pushing this again and maybe get it on the newsletter again and just republish this, just send it out again, because this date's going to sneak up on people. So.
Yep, and I think there's nothing worse for a publisher than to have a major change like this when they're in the heat of things. It always happens at a bad time. So we have to try and keep people prepared. And I think you're going to go into it later, but how we've changed as a company from just being a website place to also, into marketing and helping publishers with all aspects of their business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if they are not focused on Matimo, because like a lot of publishers just want to use Google Analytics because, it's portable. It can, if they came from Town News, they can still use Google across everything. So, and that's fine. We can totally support that. We also offer Matimo, if you don't want to use Google, but, and there's advantages to both. I think Matimo's supposedly more conservative in their numbers, but anyway, Google is pretty much a standard out there that a lot of advertisers are going to understand, or at least be familiar with. So if you want to deliver some metrics to them, like just send them your Google Analytics dashboard page or something, it's something they could understand pretty quick. So that's one reason to do that. But it's not exclusive. You can have Google Analytics and Matimo. We just need to put the code on the site. That's it. Rappahannock Times. Oh, okay. So let's take a look at this one. Anything stand out on these guys? For any of you, let's see. Do you remember, Tyler, if they had a website before they switched to
They
us?
did, but it was
Vera.
a problem.
Yeah.
I think they needed to get a new name because the people who owned the name didn't want to part with it. So that was a little ugly at first.
Yeah.
But since they've launched, Erin really has loved this because she has a very limited staff. And this has helped her be able to cover more things that she needs to focus.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So she took advantage of the full service, and it looks like there might be an ad running at the top there. Yes, that's what that is. So
yeah, they're on the ad network.
So they're using the ad network. They've got the paywall. See if it's metered. Probably is. Looks like it is, but
yeah, it's supposed to be 3 free articles a month.
Oh, look at these ads. Interesting. It doesn't look like I'm seeing the counter though. That's the only thing about this one. I wonder why that's not showing up there.
I hate to say it. It looks like Ezoic might be.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely have to look into that. Vera, would you mind just shooting this over to ops real quick, just the tickets, and just just let them know that thing's not showing up. That might be something else to look into. Okay, here was the VPA interview. Well, I guess it wasn't until July they had their virtual conference. I think it's the last time they're going to do it virtual. They're kind of a holdout. I mean, I think all conferences could be virtual forever, to be honest, but we're going back to in person. And but yeah, this year VPA still did it virtually, so we were able to participate, and so was Billy and Lisa and everything. Okay, Restoration News Media. This was August, and it seems like a lot longer. Well, I mean, Tyler, you were talking to them since this time last year, I think.
Right? I think last November is when I started talking with them.
Right. Okay. So this was a big deal for him to make this switch. Kevin, really smart guy, really knows what he needs to do. He's running multiple operations in different states. And so let's talk about some of the things that we did for them. A lot of custom development here. And I think they were kind of one of the first ones this year where we really just started saying, nothing's off the table. Like, we'll look at anything. And he gave us he kind of got us started on the integration with CircPro, because he had figured that out. He had built his own website, or his son had. And so they had kind of gotten that pretty far, but they didn't really know how to make it work outside of that system. So we had to rebuild it, but we had some kind of a lead looking at what they had already done. And now this is something that we can offer to everyone. So there was that. What other custom stuff did we do for them? I'm kind of blanking right now.
Custom roles.
Custom roles, right? So
and the paywall.
Right. Let's take a look at this.
They had that special paywall that would give you special treatment depending on where you came from. That was
the source-based paywall.
Source-based paywall. Thank you. Yeah.
Right. It's a good term for it. The source-based paywall was important because the reason
and
behind
dark mode too. Don't forget
dark mode. Yep. Yep. Exactly. Light and dark mode. But the source-based paywall, this is something that we were studying with Today in News Tech, right? How different audiences, depending on where they come from, there's just different people, and there's
different expectations and different value that can be assigned to where a person is actually linking from. And Kevin kind of tailored the source paywall to kind of give certain sources a little leg up or a little nudge in one direction or another. I thought was really smart.
Exactly. And just to nail it down, is it that I think there's newsletter and then social media. Those are the two main sources that he has, I think. Yeah. Okay. All right. So remind me, which one gets more views?
I believe social media.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I didn't want to bias anyone. So that makes sense to me. And what do you guys think the logic is behind that? I have my own theory, but why would he want to give more views to social media than newsletter?
Well, if they're subscribed to the newsletter. Traffic. Yeah. Also, if they're subscribed to the newsletter, they're already invested in the site. Right. So they're more likely to subscribe.
He understands, he can get in people's head. I mean, like, that's good psychology, because it's like, if they've already given you their email, I mean, that's a lot for someone to do these days. And that's a pretty good signal that they're, very interested. But social media, I mean, it could, you have thousands of followers on there, and, people follow all kinds of stuff, and it's really easy to follow. And it's just all gets mixed into the news feed. So those are less qualified leads, I think, is his idea. So he's trying to, just coax them a little bit and just make them more qualified. So, and then there is dark mode.
And the Naviga integration, that's a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Naviga, right. CircPro, that's what I meant, but it's Naviga. Exactly. And we ended up doing that webinar kind of with them, sort of in partnership. But
this is a real testament to some of the work that our engineers do. We just have an amazing lead engineer who's just not afraid of anything. I mean, he's not a bull in a china shop. He proceeds with caution, but he is deliberate and smart. And I don't think people realize how much brain work actually goes into some of the development work. And I mean, I don't know what we would do without him.
Oh, absolutely. I can't say enough about James. I mean, for any publishers watching, you've probably communicated with James here and there. He kind of does it all. I mean, he's
reachable. He's approachable. He's just a unique engineer, and I'm so glad we have him.
Yeah, he told me once. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to talk one more, because James also did some pretty extensive work on some custom newsletter components for these guys too.
Yeah, and these are all things that we talked to Kevin about in our interview. So we can look at that. I think that's maybe later in the timeline. Yeah. So they have 6 papers, right? It's 6 different papers on one website. So that's the other big thing. Multi-paper sites. That was something, man, when I joined the company, I remember my father is just like, we don't do that. We don't want to deal with that. It's too complicated. It's just forget it. And so,
do you remember our first one where it was just 2 papers?
Yeah, Journal Trib.
Yep.
Yeah.
I still enjoy that one every week.
Well, thanks to Chris, we can actually do it.
Yep.
We wouldn't be able to without you, but this is different because it's not full service. So it's less like, it's a heavy site, and it's got all these newsletters, separate newsletters. So I at least 6, but I think there's even more than that. There's like multiple for each paper.
Yeah, they have like
not
basically a summary, a daily briefing.
Right.
He also sent out an advertiser newsletter, and that's going to be something for 2023. He's going to be heavy-handed on local advertisers. He wants to, push out a newsletter, getting people to shop at their locations or whatnot. So wow. He's pre-thinking already.
Yeah, this is literally the stuff that we would hear when I used to go to conferences. The keynote speaker at like dailies, they'd be talking about their newsletters. And I'm like, whoa, like you send out so much and it's all different channels and super personalized and just really useful stuff. And it's like really competing with the push notifications from social media. I mean, that's kind of how I see it. It's like real time. So, and there's nothing wrong with doing a weekly newsletter only, but like if you can organize your operation so that it's automated, which this all is, it doesn't take you any extra time. If you can, get those automated newsletters set up, you're going to get a lot more clicks, a lot more engagement. People are going to get more value out of it, so they'll open it more. And that local advertisers thing is interesting. It kind of reminds me of what I was talking to Guy about. He wants to get into more e-commerce and just selling local products online. Maybe we can work with Kevin on something like that too. But I think you're talking about Vera, him just really, well, do you have an example of his newsletter that he's doing for advertisers? Does he have anything mocked up?
I think he did one. He does. He did one in October. It was for an apparel shop for like ski wear, and they paid for them to have their own individual newsletter.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and they basically provided the HTML code. He just copied it from the advertiser and pasted it right into our plugin and sent it out. And it was beautiful.
Oh, okay. So the advertiser kind of designed the newsletter. And
yeah,
just gave
and he
code.
just pasted it. Yep, and he paid
That's great.
to be in their newsletter because of their traffic. And
right.
how much they get as far as like their subscriber list. And that was another thing that when we were talking with Kevin, that just blew me away. We thought maybe he padded the numbers, but no, he was true to his word.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Any idea how many newsletters like he sends out a month? Do we have maybe Teri, if you happen to remember that?
Just a second.
Sure, yeah, check it out. I'd be interested. He's got to be one of our biggest users. So,
and I think that goes into his thinking of the difference in how he's managing the source-based paywall, because he's got such a strong newsletter infrastructure that he can handle them completely differently than just some links coming from social media.
You ready?
Right. Yeah, is this a monthly?
We have an over/under.
Oh man,
I got 30,000.
30,000 a month. What do you think?
That's my guess.
Yeah. Well, Tyler, you talked to him about all this, and what based on any sense?
I mean, if I remember his initial estimate right, I would say closer to 900,000.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh my. Well, I mean, he is in kind of a lot of these papers are in the triangle area. of North Carolina, which has a really intense kind of diverse population, lots of heavy tech, lots of heavy commercial. You know, I grew up down that way.
Over there. Yeah.
Okay, so Christopher says 800,000. Tyler says 900,000.
No, I shot real low at 30.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay, 30, 80, or 800.
Yeah, I'll say 50.
Vera?
Vera might.
I'm not going to weigh in because I can actually see the numbers. I'm in it. I also posted, Matt, in chat if you want to pull up the most recent.
Okay.
This is one of their local advertising newsletters.
In October, are you ready? Good. Drum roll, please. 1,885,823.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Crazy, right?
Price is Right. Tyler wins.
And I still only got half of them.
Right. Yeah, exactly half. Yep.
Wow. Okay. So that's
an insanely
big list.
We actually can handle that traffic.
That's how many emails we're sending out. It's not how many email addresses he has, but you know, he's probably got hundreds of thousands of email addresses to be able to do that, or tens of thousands probably, and he's sending out multiple a day. So it's just
they're all categorized by the publication. So you know, even on the low end, if you hit like 30,000 per publication, that is astronomical.
Right. Yeah, I know it. And just looking at this example, so he could send something like this to all those people. This was code that they gave him, so I guess it's clickable. Okay, so he didn't really need to do much for this. He just drops it into the automated newsletter editor, or is it even? It may not be automated, but
well, this one here is the regular newsletter. He does this outside, there's one where it says HTML, and he just plugs it in. And that's what it looks like when everything's all said and done.
Right. And so, and you can link to anything. Like this company is obviously focused on Facebook. So, you know, they want to use the newspaper to grow their Facebook audience because that's where they're putting all their content. And, you know, that's fine. You know, we'll happily help you grow that.
That's another thing for an upsell is he shares some of their things on their social media. You know, that's an upgrade itself for their digital marketing.
Right. And that's just, something for like a sales rep to keep in mind. If, you know, they make a deal like this and the advertiser gives them a link to their Facebook page, well, maybe we should do a little bit more on Facebook on our page too. Yeah, that's a good point.
One thing that strikes me about this is that using a newsletter to focus on an ad creates a completely different analytic pipeline than this just being a box ad or a tile ad on the website itself.
For sure.
Because it just, you know, because you can still track it and see who clicks and all that kind of stuff. But it's a very different interaction channel.
Oh, yeah.
Just actually getting this in your inbox.
Right.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Because
you can personalize it a little bit more than what you can in the paper, because there are some constraints of what you can have publicized, depending on the state. You know, there's different parameters. But as far as like a newsletter, you know, you can keep it simple, or you can make it more engaging. You know,
you could use wildcards and stuff. Can you use like wildcards in creating the newsletter to kind of say, hey, Mr. Jim, look at this advertiser we have for you.
Right. You can do.
You can't do that
like
just on an ROP ad. Yeah,
exactly. It's kind of luck of the draw.
I'm always thinking about the reputation and credibility that a newspaper represents too. And I think when you pick out quality advertisers, you sell quality advertising. You're also projecting your image to your customers, and that can be a huge boost. It reinforces to the reader that I like this newspaper.
Yeah.
This is a little past, but I mean, I could imagine a small business Saturday newsletter that you push out right around Thanksgiving and focus on maybe 8 advertisers, and they could kind of like buy into a little business directory thing that goes out for Small Business Saturday could use a model like this very nicely.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't need to be that complicated. I think people get a little overwhelmed with digital advertising. They don't know where to start. Just start with the newsletter. You don't need to overthink it too much. A couple of things I wanted to tease apart a little bit about what you said, Chris. Like in terms of the analytics, you're definitely right. I mean, with the website, and this is true of all websites, it's not anything about WordPress, but you have impressions and clicks. That's it. You don't really, I mean, if you dug into the analytics, you could probably find it. It'd be a lot of work determining who clicked. And then you'd have to like tag them. And I don't know if you wanted to do some remarketing to them. But with the newsletter, you can tell if they saw
it's a direct link.
Yeah, it's more of a direct link. It's connected to the email just by its nature, like it's all tied in, and then you can just do the retargeting with the lists if you want to send these people another one. So you could retarget people that opened this email and saw it, or even better, people that clicked on the one link in here, which is this.
Or if you did it with like a small business and you had 5 or 6 different advertisers, the newsletter would keep track of which ones were clicked upon by that particular email address. It's really
absolutely. Yeah. You do not need to limit yourself like one link at all. You're right. You can totally segment it and then just create the different lists. So, for each business, you would have a list of who clicked, and then send them a follow-up the next week or something like that. Lots of ideas there. Okay, so man, restoration. Yeah, that was a big one. That was kind of probably the deal of the year, just because Tyler closed it and we launched them this year. We've got some other really big ones coming out early this year in 2023, but I mean, that all happened in 1 year, which was really cool. So Daily Catch, this was pretty fun. I think you guys all joined me to talk with Emily after she got on NPR for, making this connection with this kind of data journalist in Ukraine. Just really fascinating and innovative stuff coming from the Red Hook Daily Catch. It's been
that
cool
was huge.
working with her. Yeah. I loved listening to that. There's all kinds of, NPR, I've always loved NPR. I used to, when I did this marketing gig one time for a music festival one summer, I just drove around all summer just listening to it. And it was just, it was the best. I just learned so much. And the way they put together the stories, it's like a podcast, but then they, weave in like this audio of like the war, or like, Pavel's cats and stuff like that. All kinds of, it just, NPR, they're just like the gold standard for audio. So I don't know. I guess the one thing I would take away from that is if we could be more like NPR with our audio articles, Well,
remember with that interview, Emily said that NPR spent 4 months, 4 or 5 months putting that piece together.
Wow. Yeah. It was a long form. It was like an hour.
It was like a full hour, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And then they were on the radio, but they were also on the website. So
and they also did a really cool like an 8-minute cut of it that they released.
That's right.
They just got it more out there.
It's totally. That's I think we kind of got that idea too for like some of our podcasting stuff, and that's what you see all over with like YouTubers and stuff. So just in general, NPR is a great organization to watch. And then we got to interview Emily directly about it, and she told us about the interview process with them and what it's been like working with Pavel. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I remember I was worried about that. But yeah, that was a really cool, like, personal story. Okay. And then MemberPress and CircPro Integration. So this was when it took us a while. We got it launched with CircPro being Naviga. We got it launched with Restoration, but James wanted to make sure everything was working perfectly. all the members had claimed their digital subscription and there was no issues with the data moving back and forth. And then we basically announced it as a new product for all customers, all our hometown customers that are using CircPro. And so definitely, if you're using CircPro and you haven't heard about this yet, reach out. This will save you a lot of time.
We also had a couple beta testers, right, Matt?
Yeah, definitely.
Usually when we do something, a big project like this, we do have, we offer beta testing at reduced or no cost.
Exactly. Yeah, like no setup cost or something like that. We structure it so that, because it's, and I think all publishers understand this, but this kind of like formalizes it. You're a little bit of a test case. Like, there may be some issues, and that's why we're going to do it for free.
But that's, you can customize it for one paper, but it doesn't mean it's going to work for every paper. And we want what we sold to work for every paper. And James is pretty focused on that. He's very,
that's James being very cautious, and he develops it for
deliberate.
He developed it for restoration. They asked for it and they needed it to work. So he custom built it for them. And then we do a beta test with one of our current customers. And then this step happens where we announce it, where it's available to everyone. Okay. Had a webinar talking about Naviga's integration. Now the NextGEN Gallery plugin, this is something I'm not really, I gotta admit, I don't play around with this too much. So anyone want to jump in, maybe Vera, on like what brought this about? Because I think we were using Max Galleria, having issues there. And so we just very quickly moved to a new gallery for our standard recommended image gallery, right?
Exactly. And actually, I think this also came about because of the whole content-driven articles that Restoration was putting up. They take a lot of photos, and Max Galleria wasn't able to keep up with the size of their galleries.
Right.
So with this here, I mean, first of all, I have to say that I love it. At first, I was a little skeptical. Because it was learning something new. I'm an adult, I'm set in my ways, but it was actually pretty easy to put something together. Not to mention that it has a lot of capabilities as far as e-commerce is concerned and watermarks. You could actually go right to the gallery, watermark everything without affecting the core group of your media. And I love that. You could also change where the captions and cut lines are displayed. They even have one where you could actually put it right on the photo itself, kind of like Newsweek, some of the photos that they do. I mean, it's just really slick.
One
of the other things that NextGen does better is it handles video content a lot more dynamically and better than Max Galleria does. Like managing YouTube playlists and actually affecting how they look. Max Galleria kind of gives you one or two widgets that kind of give you a look, but it's just basic functionality. NextGen takes it to the next gen.
And I think what you're trying to say is that things come standard in NextGen that were add-ons for Max Galleria.
That's right.
No, not cost effective.
I was just going to say that they're either add-ons or something that we had to custom build. And then just a little bit of like what's going on behind the scenes when you customize a plugin that's open source, then, you got to keep track of those changes. And when they release updates, you got to make sure your changes don't mess with it. So it's just better if you can, use something right out of the box that's got all the features that you need. So the watermark is something that we custom built, I remember, for Max Galleria, but this is just part of it for NextGen and all these different ways to display the images. It's like, really state of the art. This looks like New York Times image galleries.
Yeah, you could also adjust a background, so you could have like a color. You could do like the OHT blue,
Right. Yeah.
or whatever,
Exactly.
to kind of make it more engaging.
Right.
What I found also really interesting is we have, of course, our publishers have different workflows. We have some that use the block editor, some that use the classic.
Sure.
And this works with both really easy.
That's good. Right.
Emily was talking about inserting a short code. Well, we did some searching on that. And you can actually do it on both without having to go through much effort. You can find it right there in the settings.
Okay.
And it posts right there in the text view. And you can get your short code. So that way, if you're building an article, you need to come back to it later. There's your short code. You could also see it on the gallery view. They actually, I found the setting that you could do it. You could also set it default too. That was another thing. Instead of picking a template, you can have it standardized. So that way you don't have to pick and choose. So if you are used to one slider and you love the look of it, you can do that for all of your galleries.
Right. That was a big thing, I think, for Emily, right? She wanted the standard view and wanted them to all look this way and didn't want to have to, do all the settings every single time. Just copy the short code and then change out. I think it's the gallery ID that you just have to change. And that's just one change. So much easier than remembering all the settings. Cool.
Well, she travels a lot. Like she was overseas. And she was telling me she was on a mountain taking all these pictures and she didn't have the greatest of reception. So she wants to be able, when she has Wi-Fi, to be able to download what she needs, put it in an article and go. And I get that.
Right. So she's using her phone to post these galleries then, in that case?
I think sometimes she does. And then sometimes she uses her Mac.
Right. Got it. Okay. Well, that's good. We're mobile first for everything. It's not just reading, it's creating content. Okay. So keep it moving here. We're almost at our hour, so I might pick up the pace a little bit here. Wilson County News, Kristen, always great to talk to. I think this was just an interview mainly about audio articles and all the different things she's doing with audio, her, custom podcasts that her daughter creates. Tons of cool stuff came out of that. This is where we talked with Emily again. Okay, this came from office hours. I think it was Vera, just from your experience working with as a publisher, these just basic reminders like how to get postal reports. So this, I think, was just a how-to on how to export your members or subscriber info from MemberPress, right?
Yeah, for statement of ownership every October for the first week it's due in the papers.
Right. Yeah, so that's just kind of a little part of our service, is reminding people of that and just making it easy to export it. Okay, this was our big push for audio articles. We, we're trying to focus more on like our family, like our neighborhood of customers. Tyler and I are obviously like trying to bring in new business, but this was a good thing for us to start doing, and I really want to do more of it this year and just like work down our product list and just really do a thorough job of just explaining what we have to our customers and using the same tools that we talk about using, the newsletter, retargeting, to find out who's interested and then zero in on them. So it's the exact same tactics we're saying that you should be using for your advertisers or for your subscribers. We're using it to identify what is of interest to you, because I know not everyone has time to read our newsletter every week, so we got to keep bringing these things up and then just following up with folks. So this was our pass at that, and it gave us an opportunity to really crystallize what are the revenue opportunities. I think audio articles is just so cool and I love listening to it, but that's not always enough. It has to have a revenue opportunity for a publisher to take time and even spend the money, the $75 a month on audio articles. I mean, it really doesn't make sense to do that unless, you know, you have some way to grow revenue or go
at least cover cost. And
At
this
least
is one of
cover your
those
costs,
things
right.
that I think we assumed for a very long time that publishers would just figure out for themselves. And,
Right.
you know, publishers, we forget sometimes that publishers are really concerned with the print. That's their focus. And as a CMS provider, we really should take more responsibility for, like you said, providing those revenue opportunities and highlighting them for publishers just so that they can see how they can grow their online business as well.
Exactly. Yeah, just really step by step teasing it out. And, you know, Chris spent a lot of time figuring out how to get up, you know, these subscriptions set up on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And we learned a lot through that process, really found the bounds of what is possible. You know, I think that there was some things that I assumed would work and they didn't always work the way I thought. So, yeah, just like really making it a whole turnkey thing so that they don't have to figure anything out. They just need to set it up and follow our directions. And look at what other people like Guy is doing to sell this spot. You know, we had kind of like a email interview with him and published that. So just trying to learn from publishers that are having success. Fraud protection. So this was just a security thing with Stripe. And it's just something, it's just like one of those things that we're kind of like following in the industry, but I think the publisher has to do it themselves. I don't know if anyone kind of remembers what brought this about, but I guess fraud protection, I think, well, just trying to remember.
I think it was about the bots.
Card testing, trying to get cards to go through on Stripe. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is like the modern pickpocket, you know, or I mean, it's a jungle out there. And so you got people, so they're stealing credit card information and then they're just trying to, they have bots that run them through these sites and just try buying subscriptions. Is that how it works? Or
yeah, I think it's kind of like brute forcing a password where you just try combinations of numbers. And if you don't require this, if the payment gateway isn't requiring the extra security features of a given card, it allows more of those to get through and create all kinds of havoc for your numbers and things.
Basically validating whether a card is good or not. And if they get a good response, then they can use that card anywhere to, you know.
Oh my God. I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
And this is another one of those services where, because we are deep in the industry and helping out so many different publishers, we're in a space to spot this stuff early and then share it in a way that maybe not all of our publishers would be aware of something like this.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Yeah, we are like overseeing all this stuff. It's like there's these signals popping up, little examples. So yeah, we had some publishers that had issues with this, and it was a big problem for them to fix it. So I think enabling CAPTCHA, this is basically a CAPTCHA thing, right? I think that was James's main
solution to kind of, if the payment gateways weren't going to institute it, we would do it in front of them. And that was where the new CAPTCHA system came in. Very nice.
Right.
This is one of the reasons that we blacklist certain countries too, because they'll send a bunch of bots looking for a valid card number, and you know,
that is so crazy. So they're just using us and all these other websites,
and the problem it created for publishers, besides, you know, the whole what is this happening thing going on in their heads, is it created all these pending transactions that just kind of took over MemberPress.
Right.
You had all these pending
garbage.
You just created junk in your MemberPress system that just
You can't even
pages,
navigate
pages, and you couldn't find the real people in there anywhere.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's a big problem. But really unique solution, man. Once again, our team coming together. So everyone is just like playing a part in that. Like Vera picks up the signal originally, probably from some ticket, passes it up to James. And, as a team, we figure out the best way, the most elegant solution, I guess. Here was our interview with Kevin. So we talked about that quite a bit already, but this was a great conversation. Chris is another one of his best practices for the big tech platforms, Google My Business. Oh man, this is something, Vera, you've had a lot of fun with this with some of our publishers, right? This year chasing this stuff, man. This could
be a big thing to give some time with your SEO talk next year, because this and the all-in-one SEO plugin and some of the collation of data we've been doing kind of all falls under that SEO umbrella of just getting your website to perform.
Yeah, that's actually funny that you say that. It's exactly how this happens. So it's kind of like a circular thing, and every year that presentation is getting better because we learned about that a little bit. He talked about it briefly, just the basics of what to put in your Google business profile. And then we're working with all these Hoosier sites and the digital initiative papers that have no web presence, and something as basic as getting a Google business profile can really help with your SEO. So you want it to look like this, and I've seen all kinds of things. I've seen like links to Wikipedia pages over here. It's like Google will find whatever they can, but if you can just give it to them the way that they want it, you're going to be much better off.
Vera's done a great job with this too, as far as instead of just presenting it, it's like she's taken it to you have to do this.
Right.
When you've done that, and I'll tell you what's next. Now do this. Right. This has been
the postcard and all this stuff. Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think the key thing though is to make sure that all of your information matches. I mean, if you have moved,
yes,
you want to make sure it's on your Facebook, it's on your Twitter, your profile, and it all matches, and your site description too. That's also important.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's something that
Google's using that to verify. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's what Michael really focused on. He's like, they are an AI, and the only way they can figure out what's going on at a scale, they can't have people figuring this out. All they can do is have this database that's like, okay, here's what they said. All their info is on our Google profile. What do they say on Facebook? Like, how legit are they? Like, what is the truth? What is the actual address? Like, that's a big question, and it's like hard to answer. So you need to have that consistency. Yeah, that's a great point, Vera. That's probably the biggest takeaway from this.
Oh yeah. I also want to mention this because this has happened, not into any of our publishers, but it has happened in the past. I had a client who got a divorce, and their ex-spouse tried to claim their business out of malicious intent and changed a bunch of stuff. And this is a great way to vet, because you have to prove that you are the owner. You have to prove that the information is valid. And that's why these safeguards are in place, because unfortunately there are some people that are like that.
Sure. Yeah. So basically the postcard, I guess, is like the final verification, because you can't, really fake that. You either you're there, and that's your office, or it isn't. So
another point to make here is, because Google is doing the scraping, if you don't claim your profile, it'll just be there with information that may or may not be what you want, just because it's been collated and maybe something similar. Yep. So if you don't go in and actually claim your profile, get everything verified, it can bring down some of that validity quotient.
Yeah, they're just gonna keep trying to figure it out if you don't kind of correct it. That's a really good point too. So by the way, times just verifying. Yeah.
Did you guys, or have you discovered this yet? I read somewhere that Google was going to stop paginating search results on certain
Oh, I did hear about that.
devices, because we were always worried about getting on the first page for our SEO results. And I was wondering how that might change if it's just a matter of scrolling and the paging is not, I mean, they're still top and bottom, but it's just a little different. Yeah.
Definitely.
I think you might have to pay them to be on the first set of results. That might be how they're going to be targeting it.
Well, I think what he's saying is just that it's the same results. It's just
you don't have to click through page numbers at the bottom. I'm not sure if that's like, just on like a mobile thing or what.
Yeah, so it could be an infinite scroll thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I despise them.
Right. It's a little like uncomfortable. I feel the same way. It's just like
it's got to be torture on mobile.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, I wonder why they're doing that. But it's definitely important to recognize because I mean, I think being on the second page and the first page, it was like night and day before. Now that's sort of
actually, I just checked it again, and it just scrolls forever on Google search. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
How many people are going to scroll for how long?
Yeah, I know. Now they're going to have metrics on all that rather than like pages.
This number of people.
Hey, that's why you want that profile, though. That's why you want your Google profile, because it'll be pinned to the top when everybody when you come up in a search.
Exactly.
Now, has anybody seen on their Google searches where it has best match or recommended results? I started seeing that on certain pages. I didn't know if anybody had seen that as well.
Well, that and the people also ask, where it kind of basically gives you search suggestions amongst your search results. They've been doing some kind of variation of that for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we covered that a bunch. That was pretty interesting. Yeah, so I wanted to make sure to talk about this one, online payment trends, because this is, I mean, I feel like I'm reading a PhD dissertation with some of your articles, Chris.
Well, I apologize. That was kind of where some of my training came from.
It's like, it makes sense. But this is like really interesting stuff that I mean, this is well beyond the basics. This is, I mean, McKinsey, so some financial company, they're trying to break it down. I was just looking at this table. So can you explain this to me a little bit? This statement, consumers say they prefer a bank provided wallet, but many seek features associated with retailers' wallets.
I think it's just a preference for digital wallets that come from established banks. So if you're going to pay via some kind of service or whatnot versus a retail one, like some kind of Walmart card or something.
Is that related to their impression of security, you think? Like maybe
it could go into that. I mean, just FDIC's involved and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe people just aren't as something attached to the phone or the way it works. I don't know. But I guess so some examples of this, would this be like the difference between let's see, a bank provided wallet? That's what I would think of as like Apple Pay. Is that fair? Like a similar that is a type of digital wallet, but it's not a bank, because
it's not a bank.
They make you link bank cards or accounts into that wallet. So I think that's mainly I don't know too many banks that actually provide digital wallets.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what this is probably saying. It's like it's time for the banks to do this. Right.
Although there are things like if you get an Apple card, it's for shopping at Apple and you get points on Apple, but it's managed by Barclays. So technically that could be a bank card, but it's not Apple Pay, although it feeds Apple Pay. So there is that's one thing I noticed when I was going through this, and maybe that's why I was trying to cover the detail, was that it's not the easiest thing. So there's just a big difference between the payment gateways and the digital wallet stuff, because those are very separate.
Interesting.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Now I remember. I asked you to research this because we saw a lot of publishers using PayPal, and like that was the only way that they could take a subscription. You had to have a PayPal account, and that's just, it's a unnecessary barrier, like to require people to sign up for PayPal just to take a subscription to your paper. Like, it's better to use Stripe or something that can handle any kind of bank card. So I think that's kind of the difference. The retailer's wallet would be PayPal, but the bank provided wallet would be just like a credit card that you hook up to Apple Pay, I think. But
actually, you don't have to have a PayPal account to use PayPal.
Well, that's true sometimes, but I have definitely seen some, and I think it's when it's like not PayPal Pro. I think you need PayPal Pro for that, what you're describing. If you do the free version and you kind of cheap out, then everyone needs to use their PayPal account. So
I think there's a bit of fee stuff. I think there's a bit of fee stuff a little further down. Okay. Because that was one of the other things perhaps not. I didn't go into that as much. But yeah, there are some fee things with that.
Right. Yeah. So this is really getting into the details of just like all the different options for taking payments. But I guess the thing that I was trying to get at earlier a little bit is I think something we really want to do next year is at least look into, and I've talked about it with James, and it's just a matter of doing it and a matter of finding time, but getting Apple Pay working on our apps. And you would have to lose that 30%. That's the trade-off. But I mean, what do you all think of that? Like, is that worth it to take Apple Pay through the app and just give Apple 30% in order to make it that easy to get a subscription to the app?
Kind of just
I guess it would depend on. Yeah,
volume.
exactly.
Yeah, right. How many people you have on the app?
I would also about the content too, because if you have things geared towards a younger audience, they may be more willing to subscribe. So you may want to cater to your audience. Right.
Yeah, definitely.
The thing to think about with that is, even though Apple introduced the ability to redirect from your app, they've made it an either or option. So you kind of have to decide.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
If you want to take advantage of the convenience, or if you want to just hope that your subscribers will take the extra step to go through the redirect and then go through whatever kind of payment gateway that you're using.
Right.
Natively.
Yep. The redirect, go to the website, buy the subscription with your credit card. But if we could even get Apple Pay working on the website, that would be good, right?
I think, if it's possible, I think you have to be able to accept all forms of payment. However you can get your readers money easily, that's going to be convenient for the reader. That's something that we have to do. Right.
But I'm just thinking about this now. It hadn't even occurred to me. When I use Apple Pay, it's my debit card. So there's no credit card fees. And I don't think Apple gets a cut of that. It's just like PayPal, like just sending cash. So what I'm thinking is, we don't need to do it on the native apps. We could just do it on the website. And I don't think Apple would take the 30%. It would just be using Apple Pay. You'd have all the advantages of an easy payment.
So you would click a button, you would click use your credit card, use Apple Pay, or use PayPal kind of thing?
Basically, yes. So you would start on the app. Yeah, some people, they would start on the app, or who knows where they start. But let's say they start on the app, and then we redirect them away from the app on the subscribe page. So we don't give Apple 30% for the app subscription.
Right.
Then they go to the website. They can use Apple Pay there. And
or
then
PayPal or
PayPal. Right.
So what you'd really need to do is just make sure that the mobile subscription page on the website is as easy and convenient to use as possible.
That's right. That's pretty much all I'm talking about. Just making that one page
but
easier.
Specifically on mobile, because then it decreases the disconnect between the experiences.
Right. Yeah. because pretty much all of our publishers are doing that redirect now. So yeah, I think that would be something to look into.
Definitely.
I asked James about this a while ago. Okay, so we'll circle back to that. A lot of exciting things to look at in the new year. Okay, 2 more posts left. Okay, SimpleCirc. So SimpleCirc was another print circulation management system that they're actually based in Rochester, I believe, or at least
I believe
upstate
so.
New York.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, I'm gonna definitely be reaching out to these guys in the early new year to see if we can kind of partner up a little bit, but they are more forward thinking than a lot of the print circulation tools are. And they had this API that we could just pull from. So, this was a lot easier than the Naviga integration. And I was surprised. A lot of our publishers are using these guys. They're kind of an up and comer. They came out of they haven't been around forever like Naviga has been and all these other ones. They're pretty new. So,
I've learned a lot recently with these integrations, because I wasn't aware of the print side of things. And I mean, one of the things about, we wanted to provide this turnkey way so people weren't copying and pasting news content from InDesign into a web page. Well, this is an extension where you're not having to copy and paste subscriber data from one place to another. It's just an extension of that automation and turnkey approach that I think we've been so successful with.
Yeah, one of the big problems that a lot of publishers had was remembering to do that. You had print combo subscription people on your website. Now you've got somebody that's got, they ordered a print and online subscription, but they're not getting their print edition. How come?
Right.
Well, because they ordered online and, somebody in the office forgot to enter it into their circulation system. So.
Right. You're just asking for human error to happen. Exactly. It's just a matter of time. Yeah. I mean, this is, like I said, the basics. We don't need to be, I wouldn't even be looking at audio articles until you had this sorted out, with your website. Just make sure it's easy and that your subscribers are getting everything that they, believe that they, were told they were going to get with the subscription. And it's just like
the other thing about this is when I was going through so many of these Kansas papers, a lot of the smaller ones, they may have like just a landing page for a website that then just sends over to an e-edition vendor or something like that. And that is just so right for something like this. Where, because it could be, they're already trying to manage their print subscriptions through an online thing, but this way they could bring it in, put it into a more updated website and still maintain all that functionality and that revenue that they've been focusing on for so many years with their print. But they don't have to lose any of that, and then they can start turnkeying and getting an updated website.
Right. Yep. Yeah, it's really like kind of the expectation these days that this is just going to work. And when it doesn't, it's like, it's not a good look. So, yeah. I want to ask a quick question actually to y'all. I was talking to a publisher yesterday, sort of in the line of just dealing with basic operations of the newspaper and helping them do that. Vera, like, when you worked at a paper, did you have like a backup process for your print stuff? Because we do backup for the websites for a couple publishers. I mean, we have backups, and then we send Guy his backup every month of like his internet archives. But this publisher was asking me about, could we do some cloud backup for like their local server that they have in their office sometimes for storing all the Adobe files and all the PDFs and those huge files. Like, when you worked at Trader's Guide, was there any backup process for that server?
Yeah, actually, we had a Synology server, and I actually not only had the hard backup in the office with drives,
but I also had cloud storage as well set up. So that way it would feed and override every night. So that way, no matter what happened, I would have the most recent information.
Okay. So that was automated for you.
And I set that up myself. Okay. And what I liked about the cloud service is because we were sister papers with Later Times, and the graphic designer towards the end was housed there. She could get all of the InDesign files that she needed to put the paper together. Right. Yeah, I mean, this paper told me they don't really have a backup process at all. It's like it's a manual thing that like every once in a while it's like, oh, better copy all the files.
Is that something? Is that something like where we could provide an S3 storage
That's
tool or
exactly what I'm
something?
thinking. Yeah,
attached to a paper account.
Exactly. Yeah, I think so. I haven't.
I use
James
Glacier
about it.
for my stuff. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, okay. There's Glacier. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. And Vera, you mentioned something.
Glacier's super cheap, but the fee comes when you actually need to re-download it. So it's like cold storage. So, but it's just it's just a different tier of S3. If we needed more, what Vera was saying, actual real-time access, there's different tiers that Amazon has. But yeah, I mean, we're already using them for all our hosting stuff. It seems like a natural extension if a publisher was looking for something like that.
Right. I mean, it's one of our
and
biggest
mine was provided with the server, I bought the server and it was already included. I have a server for my home because my husband owns his own business and we have a Buffalo server, and that was provided. They have a web-based backup. And Seagate, and there's so many different ones.
QNAP and I think most of them have at least some sort of cloud-based synchronization.
So what would be the advantage of us hosting this rather than the publisher just,
Yeah, I know. It's basically, I mean, you guys are both saying it's really easy to set up, but I mean, I don't know. Some publishers may not have even just the cloud backup setup. They may just have literally
what would be really cool, for full service people would be, because we have a published folder that uploads all their HTML and PDFs, would be, Christopher, the published folder churn or changes to processed. If we could insert a step in there that in between the published to process change that would upload the published folder to an outside server for backup.
Interesting.
So that would preserve that published folder. You see what I'm saying?
I think what Matt's getting at though is more the source files getting backed up. And the only way I could think of integrating that would be if they actually wanted to upload that stuff to our FTP, and then, as Teri's saying, it just gets included.
I see what
into
you're saying. So you're talking
storage
about
pool.
The individual like InDesign files and things like that.
Yeah.
Separate images. I see.
Yeah, not just the PDFs, but like the actual InDesign.
That would be the only reason that it might be a benefit that we could sell is if they could just upload it at the same time. Everything gets on the website, and then the source files get archived, and they have access to it whenever they need it.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
A little more bandwidth during each one, but then at least you're not having it's since they're already kind of uploading PDFs, it doesn't really add an extra step. Or they just add more stuff to the upload.
Yeah, I mean, this is like way beyond anything.
It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, it's at a high level. I think I'm just thinking people don't have Veras at their paper that can set this up for them, or they just
this could be a source
hard drive. Well,
this could be a little educational article that that we put together of saying, hey, these are some of the cloud solutions. You can use Dropbox, you can use whatever.
Or you can use us.
But it's just important to it's the end of the year. Make sure everything's backed up.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I'm going to bring this up with James on Tuesday when I talk to him and just see how he would approach it. And yeah, it's not something we're going to just like turn around immediately. We got a lot of other stuff going on, but I think maybe for next year, it could be a new line of a whole new product. Okay.
1 minute. You got 1 minute, Matt.
Kevin Slimp. Okay, we got to wrap it up. Kevin Slimp, we're just going to keep it going with him. He's got, this was another one of his commentaries. So yeah, that's the year in summary. So, hey, I just want to give everyone a big round of applause. It's been really fun working with you. Single clap. It's been really fun.
I'll put a real sound effect in. I'll put an actual sound effect in.
The whole crowd. Man,
some confetti.
Every time we do this, it's just like, wow, we really have done exactly as Jack said, like, look at all that we've accomplished this year. And
this isn't even all of it. It's not even, as we're going through, we keep thinking, oh, but we did this too. And we did that too. And,
totally. Yeah. So hopefully some publishers will like to, watch this kind of conversation and see us break it down.